Let's drive straight into our 405 diary, give you an idea of some of the other big stories that you should be watching out for today. We'll begin matters perhaps in the Western Cape, where you might have heard from Police Minister Bheki yesterday as he was detailing the gender-based violence hotspots in the country. Many of those are based in that province. One of them is DELFT, where we've heard that several people sadly are victims of gender-based violence. In fact, it is the #1 GBV hotspot in the country, at least according to police. Nyanga, Khayelitsha, also in that province, are among the top 10. Our Atim Tongana will be in that community today, help us really put a face to some of these statistics by speaking to gender-based violence activists there, NGOs that are working in this space, and of course some of the officials that at some instances are expected to intervene with very little resources and support. A story certainly worth your attention. Look out for those sentiments throughout the course of the day on the channel. We're also going to be visiting this story you might remember involving 16-year-old MBUTHU, who sadly was killed after being accused of stealing alcohol from a local tavern in Verulam. Now, that matter has been ongoing for quite some time. The teenager in Tongaat's killing certainly sparking outrage within the community. The accused in the case had initially been denied bail by the Verulam Magistrates Court. The matter was escalated to the Durban High Court, and that court decided to grant bail. We're expecting those proceedings to continue today. Our Karinda Jacques Mahan will continue watching that quite closely throughout the course of the day. Another interesting story that you should definitely watch out for is one that Zinhle is going to be following. She's going to be in Uppington today to speak to a woman called OUMA CLAUDIA. Now, she's 104 years old and is actually the last surviving person who can speak a dialect called Nju. Now, this is the original dialect of the Khoisan language. Because of her very unique positionality, the state has actually classified her as one of South Africa's living treasures, the very last person who's able to speak this language. So Zinhle is going to be catching up with her, trying to get a sense of what this means for her own personal life, but also importantly, trying to understand what she's doing to ensure that the language doesn't die in the unfortunate event that she does. It's an important story, of course, as we also mark Heritage Month and countdown, of course, to Heritage Day, so look out for that. And then, of course, we've been watching this quite closely since the moment it emerged, the ongoing trial involving those implicated in the killing of 16-year-old Nathaniel Julies. Yesterday, hearing quite a few shocking revelations, might I add, that one of the police officers essentially conceding to firing that fatal shot that took Julius' life. It turned out that she herself had just finished training. She's 23 years old. And she admits that, she fired the shot at the orders of her superior. Today we're expecting to hear the outcome of this bail application. It's a story by now which I'm sure you're also quite familiar with, considering how much has been said about Nathaniel Julies, the ways through which he died, and of course the impact this has had on community members in Eldorado Park, as well as the spotlight this has shone on policing, generally speaking, in our country. So Bali Titani has been watching those proceedings since yesterday. She's going to be back in court today, give us a sense of how those are likely to pan out. So make sure that you stick around to Newsroom 405 as we continue watching that story for you. And then an interesting development that we've caught wind of. We're hearing of a march by an organization called Better SA. They're claiming to represent a certain constituency and are going to be marching to the union buildings, or marching in Pretoria rather, as far as I understand, against crime, they say, which is perpetuated by foreign nationals.